Okay, so imagine this scenario. You have spent weeks, maybe even months, prepping your property. You've picked out the perfect throw pillows, renovated the bathroom, you've even hired a professional photographer for those, golden hour shots. You have finally hit that big publish button on Airbnb. You are live, you're ready for the bookings to just roll in.
It's the finish line. Or at least you think it is.
Exactly. So naturally, the first thing you do is you open up the Airbnb app, you pretend to be a guest, and
Yep,
you
fair.
search for your place. You type in your city, you hit search, and nothing. You scroll,
Yeah.
nothing. You go to page 2, still nothing. You filter for your neighborhood, zoom right in on the map, and you still aren't there.
The ghost listing.
It is the absolute nightmare scenario for any host in 2026. I mean, you exist technically, but for all intents and purposes, you're invisible, and the panic sets in immediately. The first thought is, I've been banned, or the site is down.
I messed something up. And that panic, it just leads to bad decisions. But today, we're going to fix that. We're doing a deep dive into a guide called Why Your Airbnb Listing Is Not Showing Up in Search Results, the complete 2026 fix guide. It's from the team at 10xBnB. And let me tell you, this is not just a checklist of, did you turn the Wi-Fi on?
No, not at all. This is a look under the hood of a beast. We're talking about the Airbnb search algorithm, which, according to this data, now uses over 800 different signals to decide whether or not to show your house to a guest.
800 signals. It's a massive ecosystem.
Which is wild to me. So our mission today is to move past that initial gut-wrenching reaction of, where is my house? And really understand the mechanics. We're going to look at everything from the simple toggles you might have missed to what they call the silent killers. And then we'll unpack the big one, the 2025 algorithm overhaul, which it really changed the rules of the game.
It absolutely did. It changed how you have to think about visibility entirely. It's not just about being present anymore. It's about being relevant.
Okay, let's get into it. Because if there are 800 signals, I feel like we have to start with the absolute basics, the is it plugged in phase. Because the source material says, surprisingly often, the problem is just the status.
It's the classic IT support question, right? Is the
Yeah.
computer turned on? In Airbnb terms, this means checking your listing status. It sounds incredibly obvious, but you need to log into your dashboard and physically look for that green active indicator.
But here's the tricky part, and this is what surprised me. The source mentions that even if you didn't turn it off, the system might have.
That is the gotcha moment. You might think, well, I didn't hit pause, so I'm fine. But Airbnb's system is it's designed to protect the guest experience. So if your listing has been inactive for a long time, or maybe your credit card on file for host fees expired, the system can just automatically toggle you off.
So the system can effectively fire the host without telling them.
In a way, it's often triggered by unresolved policy violations. Maybe a guest complained about a broken railing 6 months ago, and you never formally closed out that ticket. The system will eventually just say, okay, we're snoozing this listing until this is resolved.
And you don't get a push notification, a big red alert.
You might get an email, but we all know how easily those get buried. You could be sitting there for weeks, wondering why bookings have dried up, thinking it's a slow season, while your open sign is actually flipped to closed.
That is terrifying. So the takeaway is, don't assume. Log in, physically look for that green dot.
Precisely. It's the first step. Check the power cable, but remember that the cable can unplug itself.
Okay, so let's say the light is green. We're active, but I'm still not showing up. The guide talks a lot about the calendar, and I love the analogy here, the Swiss cheese calendar.
This is the second most common reason. You have to put yourself in the shoes of the search engine. Airbnb search is almost always date-specific.
Right. Nobody just searches for a house in Chicago. They search for a house in Chicago for next weekend.
Exactly. So if a guest searches for a specific window, say Friday to Monday, and your calendar is blocked for just that Saturday, you don't exist. You're not at the bottom of the list. You aren't on the list at all.
Because you can't fulfill the request.
Precisely. Now imagine your calendar has random blocked dates all over the month. A Tuesday here for maintenance, a Thursday there. Those are the holes in the Swiss cheese.
And those holes break up the potential for longer stays, right?
Right. A guest wants a full week, but you have one random day blocked in the middle. Your listing is invisible for that search. You're basically taking yourself off the market for any search that overlaps with those holes.
That makes so much sense. And there's a setting tied to this too, right? The minimum stay. I feel like this is where hosts really shoot themselves in the foot.
It's a huge friction point. If you set a 4-night minimum because you want less turnover, but the market demand, the actual guests are all searching for 3-night-long weekends, you are invisible to all of them. The algorithm doesn't say, hey, check this place out anyway. It just filters you out.
It's interesting. Hosts see it as a preference. I prefer longer stays. But the
hmm
algorithm sees it as a constraint.
That's a great way to put it. Every restriction you add is a filter you're applying to yourself. You are shrinking your own audience.
Now, speaking of getting started, there's a quick note here for new hosts. If I just hit publish 5 minutes ago, should I be panicking that I'm not on page 1?
Definitely not, no. There's a processing delay. The source says it takes 24 to 72 hours for a new listing to fully index. It's not instant. The system has to ingest everything and figure out where you fit.
It's buffering.
It's buffering.
Yeah.
If it's been less than 3 days, you want a ghost, you're just loading.
Okay, good to know. So give it 3 days. Now let's get into the murkier stuff. The guide calls these the silent killers, things that aren't just a button you clicked, but they're dragging you down. First up is verification limbo.
Oh, this one is frustrating because it feels like a shadow ban. Airbnb has tightened security massively. They need strict ID verification, tax info, and in many cities, a local registration number.
And if one of those is pending.
If the system can't validate your ID, maybe the photo was blurry, or if your tax doc is under review, your listing just stays in this holding pattern. Your dashboard might look fine at a glance, but your search visibility is paused.
And I'm guessing the alert for this isn't a giant red banner at the top of the page.
No, it's usually a small notification tucked away in a submenu. You have to go looking for it. The advice from 10x BNB is to audit your verification status monthly. Don't wait for a problem.
Okay, the next silent killer, the filter gauntlet. This is where the guests themselves are making you invisible.
Well, the guest is really the first algorithm. I mean, think about how you book travel. You don't just search London. You search London, then you immediately click Wi-Fi, kitchen, pool.
And instant book.
Yeah.
That is the very first thing I click. I don't want to have a conversation, I just want to book it.
And that, right there, that's the friction point. The source material highlights Instant Book as a massive factor. Listings with it enabled get a visibility boost of anywhere from 15 to 25%.
Wow.
Whoa.
That is significant.
It is. But the bigger deal is when a guest toggles that Instant Book filter, and in some markets, that's nearly half the guests. If you don't have it on, you're gone. You are invisible to them.
So even if your house is perfect, if you require a request to book because you want to vet people, you're voluntarily cutting your audience in half.
In some markets, yeah. It's a trade-off. Control versus visibility. You can have total control or you can have maximum visibility. You usually can't have both.
And the same goes for amenities, right?
Yeah.
If you have a pool, but you forgot to check the pool box, you won't show up. It sounds basic,
Yeah.
but you have to audit that list.
Absolutely. And then there's the price trap. This one is really sneaky.
The total price track.
Right. This is so important. Hosts think in their nightly rate. I'm charging $100 a night. But the guest searches by budget. They set a filter for, say, $500 total for the trip.
Right.
If your nightly rate plus your cleaning fee plus the Airbnb service fee comes out to $501,
You vanish.
for $1, you vanish. The algorithm is rigid. It respects that filter. You have to think about your total price, not just your base rate.
Okay, so those are the filters. Now, I want to get to the heavy stuff. The source talks a lot about the 2025 algorithm overhaul. It sounds like a movie title, but apparently it just changed everything.
It really did. It was a complete paradigm shift. For years, we had this thing called the new listing boost.
Right, the honeymoon period.
Mm.
You list a new place, and Airbnb puts you at the top to help you get some reviews.
That is dead. As of 2026, the new listing boost is effectively gone.
Gone. So you're just thrown into the deep end immediately.
Essentially, yes. The source says new listings now have to earn their visibility from day one. There is no free ride. You have to have your photos, your pricing, your description optimized from the second you go live.
That is brutal. So if the boost is gone, what is the algorithm actually looking for now? What's the engine running on?
It really boils down to two primary predictions. The algorithm is trying to predict the future. It wants to answer two questions. One, how likely is this guest to book this listing?
Conversion rate.
Exactly. And two, and this is the big change, how likely are they to leave a 5-star review?
Okay, so it's not just will they book it, it's will it be a 5-star experience?
Correct. Airbnb is obsessed with quality control now. If the algorithm thinks a listing might result in a 4-star review or a cancellation or a complaint, it will bury it. It's trying to protect the guest from a mediocre experience before it even happens.
And this connects to the badges too, right? Because
Ex-
Superhost used to be the golden ticket.
It was, but the hierarchy has shifted. The source highlights that the guest favorites badge, that little gold heart, is now the heavyweight champion.
The gold heart.
The gold heart. They estimate it's worth about 25% of your total ranking score. It has effectively replaced Superhost as the top metric you can get.
So Superhost is nice, but guest favorite is what drives the engine.
Think of it this way. Superhost is about the host's reliability. Guest favorite is about the property's quality. And the algorithm cares more about the property now.
That makes sense. Now this next part, this is where my brain started to hurt a little bit, but in a good way. The psychology of search. We tend to think of search results as like a static list, a phone book.
Right. That's the biggest misconception in 2026. There is no list. Search is now hyper-personalized.
Hyper-personalized.
We are all seeing different internets, essentially. Airbnb tracks your history. If you're a business traveler who always books places with workspaces, the algorithm will show you those homes first. If I'm a family traveler with a dog, I see pet-friendly homes with backyards.
So wait, this explains the ghost listing phenomenon even more.
100%. When you, the host, search for your own listing, you are searching with a host profile. Your browsing history looks nothing like your target guest. So the algorithm thinks this person doesn't want to rent this house and hides it from you.
That is mind-blowing. You are ghosting yourself because you don't fit your own customer profile.
Exactly.
So searching for your own listing it's kind of useless.
It can be very misleading, yes. The fix is actually pretty simple. Use an incognito browser window so there's no history. Or even better, ask a friend who travels like your target guest to search for you.
Hey, can I borrow your algorithm for a second? I love that. Now, tied to this is the idea of review sentiment. I thought a 5-star review was a 5-star review. But the source says the algorithm is actually reading the text.
It's reading the text, and it's analyzing the emotion behind it. It's natural language processing.
So if I write, the place was fine, good location, 5 stars.
The algorithm sees fine and good and ranks that lower than a review that says absolutely amazing, best stay of my life, the host was incredible.
Even if the star count is identical.
Yes, because fine doesn't drive new bookings. Amazing drives bookings. So sentiment analysis is weighing the enthusiasm of your guests. And recency is huge, too. A glowing review from last week is worth far more than one from 2 years ago.
Man, so you can't just rest on your laurels. You have to keep getting those rave reviews.
It keeps you on your toes. It is strictly, what have you done for me lately?
Which brings us to part 5, keeping the pulse. The source talks about the stale penalty. So Airbnb hates inactivity.
It does. Think of the algorithm as wanting to know that you are alive and active. If you haven't touched your calendar or your pricing or a photo in 3 weeks, the algorithm starts to wonder, is this host still paying attention?
And you sink in the ranking.
You sink, the listing goes stale.
So what's the fix? The pulse strategy.
It's very simple. You have to poke the listing,
Okay.
log in once a week, change a price by $1, then change it back, block and unblock a date, add a new photo caption. Just small interactions that send a signal to the database that says, I am here, I am active.
It's like a heartbeat.
Exactly. And there's one more new factor for 2026 on this, repeat guests.
Oh, right. This is new.
It's a major focus now. The algorithm is heavily rewarding properties that bring people back. If a guest books your place a second or third time, that is a massive trust signal to Airbnb, and they will boost your visibility.
It makes sense. It proves you're not just a pretty picture. You're a genuinely great experience.
It validates their whole prediction model.
Okay, let's bring this all together. We've covered a ton of ground. If you're listening and feeling a bit overwhelmed, let's recap the quick fixes.
Right. If your listing is a ghost, start here. 1, check your status, make sure it says active. 2, audit your calendar for those Swiss cheese holes and check your minimum stay. 3, verify everything. ID, tax, local registration, clear any pending flags. 4, enable instant book. If you can, that 25% boost is non-negotiable in some markets. And 5, keep it active. Don't let your listing go stale. Poke it weekly.
And remember the context. The guide makes this really important point about competition. You're not just trying to pass a test, you're trying to beat the other kids in the class.
That is the harsh reality. For any given search, Airbnb only shows about 300 listings. If you are in a market with 500 homes and you're ranked number 350, you are invisible. You have to be better than your neighbors.
It's a race.
It's a race. And the finish line keeps moving.
This whole discussion raises a really interesting question for me. We're talking about an algorithm that reads review text for sentiment and personalizes results based on our user history.
Right.
If the algorithm is deciding what we see based on who it thinks we are we moving to a future where optimizing for the algorithm doesn't mean making generally good listing, but actually optimizing for a specific human personality type? Like, are we going to have listings engineered purely to appeal to the anxious planner or the spontaneous adventurer?
That is a fascinating thought. It's almost like the evolution of dating apps, right? You're not trying to be attractive to everyone. You're trying to be the perfect match for a very specific profile. We might see hosts niche down just to game that personalization engine.
This listing is optimized for Capricorns who like strong coffee.
Don't give them ideas. But yeah, the
Yeah.
machine is trying to replicate human matchmaking. It's not about being the best house anymore. It's about being the best match.
The machine is watching, but now you know how to talk back to it. A huge thank you to the team at 10x BNB for the source material on this one.
Absolutely. Essential reading for 2026.
Go unghost those listings, everyone. Get that green light back on. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
See you next time.